Right. Opportunities and best practices in telehealth perspectives from a not-for-profit foundation. I think it's a matter of justifiable pride that India today, telemedicine in India, has certainly come of age. Otherwise, why should the American Telemedicine Association, the world's largest telemedicine group, publish a full section on telemedicine in India? And I think it's a matter of justifiable pride that the Apollo story was featured last month in their publication. Now, why did we deserve to be featured in a journal of the American Telemedicine Association? Bill Clinton in 2000 said that he wished that this contribution was available in the rest of the world. And I think this is really phenomenal considering that we started this in 1999, literally Jurassic Park so far as IT in healthcare is concerned. What was the mission, the vision of the Telemedicine Foundation? We started off by saying taking modern healthcare to remote areas using technology. Now it's slightly different. For purposes of this presentation, I am defining telemedicine as a generic term whereby patients can be examined, investigated, monitored and treated with the patient and the doctor physically located in different places. As one management guru said, geography has become history and distance has become meaningless. Today we have 93 centers in India, 10 outside the country. We have done about 58,000 teleconsultations. On an average from the city of Madras, as you can see the board there, we do about 20 to 25 per day in different parts of the country, ranging from 200 kilometers to 10,000 kilometers outside the country as well. Just a snapshot showing how patients come to various telemedicine centers in different parts. Most of this is in northeastern India, where the healthcare unfortunately is pathetically low. There are more neurosurgeons in the city of Chennai than there is in the whole of northeastern India. We have 1,000 neurosurgeons, 80% of them live in the 8 big cities of the country. And this is never ever going to be changed. We have also introduced telemedicine in some of the big factories, the Aditya Birla Group companies. We have introduced telemedicine there. And this is a typical way in which we used to do telemedicine, of course a 29-inch monitor. Today we use a plasma screen. But as you can see here, I have personally done about 1,300 teleconsultations over the last 9 years, excepting that I can't physically touch the patient, which is really not necessary nowadays for making a diagnosis. I can do a detailed neurological examination. This is again from the village of Araganda. On the top left-hand side, if you can see, I'm sure you'll be able to make out a small little white spot there. To a trained neurosurgeon, this takes a few seconds to make a diagnosis of a hemorrhagic contusion in the brain, which obviously cannot be diagnosed by an MBBS doctor. Now here are examples. Why should this little child who had an open heart surgery, who came all the way from Mizoram to Madras, just so that the cardiac surgeon can see the scar? To see this scar, this child has to be accompanied by 2 people, travel 2,000 kilometers and spend thousands of rupees. All that I require is a very simple video transmission, and today a stethoscope can be placed on the chest and I can auscultate from anywhere in the world. I feel sad, I am frustrated, I am not very happy at what we have done. I feel extremely frustrated that the medical profession has really not taken up IT in a big way. 10,000 rupees. Don't tell me that this country cannot afford 10,000 rupees. This is the cost of an intraoral camera, Bluetooth enabled, with a small memory stick. You don't require a PhD in dental surgery. A school dropout can be asked to open somebody's mouth, put this inside, as you can see here, store all these images, transfer it, and then see it inside a laptop, and you can literally screen oral cancer. You can screen oral cancer in 1 year. You can screen 1 million people with this. All that is required is human resources and nothing else. We started this, I was so excited when we started this 5 years ago. Philips gave us this van. In my ignorance, I told the CMD of Philips, I said, sir, it's so nice of you to be philanthropic and give us this van. And then he said, young man, Philips does not believe in philanthropy. We look upon this as a long-term investment. And that is how I learned that this is what business is all about. But then in practice, this is a lovely hospital on wheels. It is sad that we have less than 35 hospitals on wheels for 620 districts in the country. But even this, we have an ECG, an echocardiogram, an ultrasound, an X-ray machine and so on. You can see an ultrasound being done of a pregnant woman and the obstetrician looking at it from Apollo Hospital, Madurai. But then what happened? After a year and a half, the villages and the towns in and around Madurai, the roads are not exactly top-class roads. And when the van went through the roads, this receiver, the VSAT receiver, turned its position by 3 inches, 4 inches, and believe me, I had to almost speak to Dr. Kasturi Rangan, the then chairman of ISRO, to get a technician to come and set it right. In other words, it took us months and months to set it right, and after 2-3 years we realized that VSATs do not have a role to play in the telemedicine so far as the villages of India are concerned unless the roads are changed. It is sad, but this is the truth. Now, teleconferencing, this is a fantastic opportunity for India to project itself in the world map. Today we do this as a routine. 8 years ago when I started, I was so excited looking at all this. Today we do at least 2 to 3 medical conferences from Apollo Hospitals, Madras, with various parts of the world. And an international critical care congress which was held in Jaipur, we were able to give a lecture on the role of tele-critical care with an actual demonstration from our ICU unit. You can see here I'm transferring echocardiograms, ECGs and so on. Many of us who got involved in this a decade ago were all self-taught. Today we think it's not true, and today I think it's a crime for you not to be formally trained, and I would entreat the audience here that we should start formal courses. We started this with the Anna University. 6 batches we were able to carry out, but then for lack of people, we have not been able to continue with the 7th batch. So this was a 2-week, initially we started in 4 weeks, and then a 2-week certificate course. We have heard in the last 2 hours about mobile phones, 10 million mobile phones being sold every month. We have heard that 3G is going to be available very soon. And I really think that the future of telehealth is mobile health. And in September 2007, with Ericsson, we got special permission from the government to use the 3G spectrum in Mahabalipuram just for 4 months. And we successfully showed in 240 patients, we were able to transmit 12 lead ECGs, heart sounds, do a clinical examination, etc. entirely through wireless. And now we are in the next phase. We are trying to transmit ultrasound, X-rays, echocardiograms and so on. There are a lot of problems, but I think it will be possible. With this study, we were able to convince the people both in Bhutan as well as in Dhaka that 3G can be used there. But again, this is, as somebody mentioned earlier, these are all pilot projects with no planes at all. Now this was again in Madurai where we did this study, but this is where the challenge lies. I thought I was pretty smart and I had made use and I planned to use a generator. I thought we'll get power for at least 6 hours a day, but that particular day we had no power at all. But then what we did was this hospital on wheels, which runs by diesel, we removed the diesel from the hospital on wheels and used it in order to get our echo and other things done. So these are the practical problems which we face. This is a camp which we had in the Kalyana Mandapam where we examined all these patients, did an ultrasound totally through wireless technology. Again, it has been our, shall I say, good fortune to be associated with the Indian Army, and we have helped the Indian Army set up telemedicine units both in the Southern Command as well as the Central Command, and we have done several projects on eHealth. I just want to go into, as a stakeholder, I was asked to talk on my own perspective of telehealth, and that's why this is probably a little out of context with the previous speeches. But today we have a Pan-African Network E-project, which is a mega project initiated by the Minister of External Affairs, Government of India, about 350 million US. And today we have a state-of-the-art CME studio, and we give teleconsultations at the moment to 17 countries in Africa. And when the project is totally ready, we should be able to give it to 42 out of the 53 countries which are available in Africa. People are thirsting for knowledge, and I would strongly urge people here to use medical education, tele-education. I am not talking of a professor of cardiology talking to postgraduates in cardiology. I am talking of health education. And I think promoting wellness is much more important than diagnosing and curing illness. You just look at the faces of these people in Africa. 4 different countries in Africa. I gave a talk on management of brain tumors. My talk was for 1 hour, but the question and answer session went on for 60 minutes more. There is a tremendous dearth of knowledge, and I think we should make use of this information and communication technology to provide information. We have had several visitors who have been very impressed with what we have been doing, the President of Nigeria, the Prime Minister of Mauritius and so on, and people from Uganda. Now in conclusion, I think the stage has come where medical practice is no longer. I think it was Rudyard Kipling who once said, "What do they know of England who only England know?" I think similarly the day has come when we require people like Dr. Ananda Padmanabhan to help us. A doctor by himself is not trained to really run a hospital, to really care for patients. Maybe I know how to diagnose, maybe I know how to treat, but this is what is required. We dream that this is not too far away, a super highway where we'll have an integration of the telephone, of fax, of SMS, of email, chat, etc., etc. And the beneficiaries are not just going to be the patient. It's going to be the healthcare provider, the pharmaceutical industry, the payer, whose bread you eat, this song you must sing. There's no doubt about it. So if I am paying, I have a right to know how you utilize the money which I paid. And all this necessarily has to be integrated. The problem with IT in healthcare, from my perspective, is that prescribe a medicine and be done with it. Today, I have to look. I need a director of health services, a director of medical education. I need the ambulance service. We are talking of regional, district, zonal, the World Health Organization at every level. And a chain, is as strong as its weakest link. So I think only information technology can do this. There is no way that anything else will be able to enable you to look at things in a big way. Again, the hospitals in 2-tier and 3-tier, this is going to be promoted, not only by Apollo Group, but by various other institutions. And I think telemedicine is an excellent way. A national telemedicine grid, this has been discussed for the last several years. I really don't know when it's going to see the light of day. The stage now has come where consultants are just not willing to even walk down the extra 500 meters to come to the telemedicine room. Maybe they're genuinely missing, maybe they don't have the time. So we are looking at providing telemedicine in the desktop itself. This is my last slide. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think we should be talking of achieving world class. Pardon my arrogance, but I think the world should be talking of achieving India class. We are the doyens of medical care and the czars of IT. The world's best in software technology in India, the world's best in medical care. But still, IT in healthcare is still in an embryonic stage. No other industry. You take the banking industry, you take the pharmacy industry, you take the railways. The amount of computerization in the railways is fantastic. Compared to that, the health industry is nowhere near that. I think 1.5 to 2% is all that we are spending on IT, and I think it calls for a change. And telehealth alone can bridge the digital divide and make healthcare a reality for the masses of India. I hope I didn't exceed the time. Thank you.